What is up, guys? Original Star Wars fan here, back at it again with another Star Wars oriented video. So today I figured we would talk about Darth Vader. In front of me right here I have a few facts and a little bit of information, so I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started. Number 1, Vader is more machine than man. Silo, I think it's pronounced Silo, C-Y-L-O, who is one of the scientists charged with saving Vader's life after his duel with Obi-Wan, made the statement that Vader is comprised mostly of machinery rather than his original flesh. Seeing as he's one of the makers of Vader's suit, and also Obi-Wan did agree with this statement, and then plus we all saw what happened to him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So with the maker of his suit, Obi-Wan making the statement, and the movie coming out, and us all seeing it because it's one of the best Star Wars movies ever, it's no real surprise that he is made up more of machine than man at this point. I mean, from what his body got chopped up, he lost both his arms, both his legs. What does he has? A little bit of torso and some face. But yeah. Anyways, number 2, Vader prefers the Jedi prosthetics. Vader, who is very familiar with prosthetics, found that his original mech arm that he acquired as Anakin Skywalker allowed him to feel more at ease with it. And this is compared to his Sith prosthetic counterparts. Now, nobody really knows why. Maybe it's because he was more accepting of it at the time. Maybe because he was more at peace with himself, and his newer prosthetics caused him pain, and he was already down the path of the dark side, so he's full of hate and anger, so he can't really be comfortable with his Sith prosthetics. So maybe it's just a bias thing, but apparently to Vader, Anakin Skywalker's Jedi prosthetics, way better. Number 3, he does in fact have full limb control. Although Vader does have issues with his suit, he has full control of his prosthetic body parts. Now, they wouldn't really be much use to him if he didn't. His suit weighs roughly 265 pounds, and even with his nerves being damaged, he can twist and rotate the prosthetic limbs as if they were his own organic ones. Makes sense to create a suit and prosthetics that would, with the technology they had, that would work like an actual arm or like an actual leg. Number 4, his arms are hard to raise. So, due to the sheer weight and clunkiness of his suit, it does make it more difficult to move his arms in a fluid motion, like over his head. In such case, instead of modding the suit for maximum comfort, he allowed himself to struggle and adapted his fighting style instead. If you notice in the movies, he rarely lifts his arm above his head, which used to be kind of like a trademark move that Anakin used when fighting, especially in Revenge of the Sith. He does a lot of overhead swiping movements, and then if you go into A New Hope or even the Rogue One movie, it's very like short, choppy movements, which is his more adapted style. Number 5, Vader has superhuman strength. His armor is said to be laced with impulse generators that stimulate his muscles in order to help with his strength and overall agility. Like I said, futuristic technology, they can put things in there that I'm assuming make it easier just to lift things and move around, especially with how heavy his suit is. So, kind of he has technically superhuman strength, but it's also like assisted superhuman strength. Number 6, he has trouble sleeping because of his breathing issues. So, the very iconic breathing that we all know and love makes it nearly impossible for Vader to get a good night's rest. Which, if you really think about it, he's either like wheezing or heavy breathing. So, I know people who snore so loud they wake up in their sleep. So it doesn't really surprise me to know this, to hear this information, but I thought it was a cool thing because it's more of a personal trait rather than what we see in the movies. So that's cool. Number 7, Vader has ear implants. Vader was badly wounded after his duel with Obi-Wan, and one of his many new additions was ear implants. Apparently his eardrums had been melted beyond repair, and the implants had to bypass the outer ear entirely. Sounds pretty painful. I mean, he went through a lot of painful processes, and I also heard that the ear implants that he got weren't actually even that good, which is kind of weird since it's the Empire and they have all this power and wealth, so you'd assume he would get the best of the best, but oh well. I do know at the end of Revenge of the Sith, when he rises, there's that scene where Palpatine's like, Vader, can you hear me? Right before he asks about Padme. So maybe that was a tie-in to him not having really good hearing. I'm not 100% sure, but he did have ear implants. Number 8, he could have upgraded his suit. Despite his suit being clunky and uncomfortable, Vader did not follow through with getting it upgraded while he was upon the Death Star. Instead, he went in for minor repairs and upgrades. The opportunity for a completely new suit with better and more efficient tech was available, but the procedure was too risky and not worth the chance of death to do so. It's probably the smarter move. I've seen a lot of little comic things here and there about him having a new suit, but the biggest issue being like taking him out of his current one is a very lengthy procedure, and it's his life support system, so you could risk Vader dying, and I don't necessarily think it would be worth it in the end, and obviously they thought the same. Number 9, Vader does have a sense of smell. Despite most of his senses being affected gravely by his defeat on Mustafar, his sense of smell remained intact, which I find kind of incredible since he lost most of his hearing. And he was lit on fire, so a lot of his probably nerves and stuff were all burnt and charred up and everything. I know that in the Jedi universe they don't really use a lot of their senses of smell as similarly as people do, so maybe this isn't as big of a thing, but I found it kind of interesting. Number 10, Vader's suit was padded. So since Vader's prosthetics are skeletal, and there had to be padding added to the suit to give it a more muscular look, because if you think about it, a skeletal prosthetic is pretty thin. It basically makes up what the bones would have made up in that specific area. So along with the obvious aesthetic reasons like I just explained, the padding also helped conceal certain parts of his cybernetics, keeping him safer from enemy attack since they may be seen as weak points. So if somebody knows and can see that he has a smaller left skeletal leg that's due to a prosthetic, they might attack the knee more during their combat. Same thing with the arms or anything like that manner. So that's why we get the nice buff jacked looking Vader. Some of it was for aesthetics and some of it was for protection. So I definitely learned a lot researching this information, and I hope you guys did as well. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and may the Force be with you.